the great columnist for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Bill Livingston. Bill, we got drama. Was this expected by anyone that you're firing the GM?
It was a surprise to me. Dan Gilbert's kind of a tough guy to work with. He hasn't extended any of the general managers he's had, but I thought David Griffin had demonstrably done such a good job. He should be allowed to continue. And if it's true, and I believe it to be true, that they had diverse opinions on how the where the franchise stood competitively against Golden State and what moves should be made in the future, I think Dan Gilbert should sign the checks and let his basketball people make the basketball decisions.
All right, let's look short-term, long-term, and are they two different goals there for this franchise of what is happening now in the next year and then what happens with LeBron James and the franchise after that?
Well, it's always now with the Cavaliers. It has been since James came back, because he's 32 now. You figure he's got to maybe 35 as the player he is now, or close to one of the best players in the league. He's the best right now. It's always been win now ever since he came back, and possibly that was something Griffin didn't really enjoy because he didn't have a lot of moves he could make. They're so far over the salary cap and into the luxury tax, but with what he had to work with, he did a pretty good job. He had some misses, yeah. Kyle Korver didn't play very well in the playoffs, but it was a defensible move, and it had the chance to work out, and a lot of his moves did work out. I think it's the biggest screw-up Gilbert's made since he sent the letter out.
Wow. All right, well, what's this mean? Because I guess let's part the Red Sea here. Are they getting Jimmy Butler? Was there, I guess, maybe dissension on, do we want Jimmy Butler go all in? Is Dan Gilbert kind of preparing also for Armageddon if and when LeBron leaves again? And how does that factor in with what the game plan is here?
Well, that's all good. Those are all good questions. I would prefer to have Jimmy Butler myself over Paul George. I just think he's a better player at the position, but I'm not. I wouldn't trade Kevin Love. I don't think Indiana really wants Love. They want draft picks, and the Cavs just don't have them. I think this. I've always thought that there was tension that lasted between LeBron and Gilbert, and of course now we know it's true from the ESPN thing. And also, as I wrote this morning, before the World Series and the Cavs ring ceremony was going to be on the same night, and Gilbert started the Cavs game up an hour, which was a nice move so people who had tickets to both could see more of the baseball game. And LeBron was asked by an out-of-towner who didn't know the dynamic very well, what does this say about Gilbert? And LeBron said, I don't know. What do you think it says about him? That's a softball question, you know, and obviously there's still some rancor on James's part. I certainly don't think this improves the chances that LeBron will stay after 2018. And as I've written before, it's different with a guy who broke a 52-year drought.
Yes.
I mean, he's not the same guy he was when he left. We're not the same people we were when we were bitter about him leaving. He had a great magnanimity about himself to try to help people in the city. He delivered the championship he promised. If he wants to go play with his friends in L.A., Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony, I'd just say have a good rest of your life. It was a gas watching you play. And I hope most people would feel that way.
I don't know if they will, Bill. Do you think LeBron ends his career in Cleveland?
No. No, I don't. Not with the problems with Gilbert. And I do think he wants to have a run with his buddies. And, people can be bitter about that if they want to be. I think you cut a guy some slack when he's done what he's done.
What do the Cavaliers do here in the next couple of weeks that will improve the roster dramatically?
I don't really know what they can do. They don't have a whole lot to offer other than Kevin Love. And, that's always been a problem. That's why Gilbert, I think, screwed up by letting him go. He did a good job with not a whole lot of resources. They've been, you look back on it, he promised a championship before the one in Miami, before LeBron won in Miami, which was ridiculous. They were the worst team in the league for 4 years. One of the reasons that they're a really good team now is they've been insanely lucky in the lottery. They got LeBron with the lottery. They got Kyrie Irving with the lottery. They got Andrew Wiggins, who was the trade bait for Love, all his number one picks in the lottery. You know, they also got Anthony Bennett in a bad year, but that's the way it goes. You know, luck and LeBron wanting to come back and help his hometown. It's not anything particularly that the Cavs did, although Chris Grant and Griffin were good at assembling, you know, accruing assets and contracts and things like that, but it's certainly not a whole lot of brilliance on the Cavs' part.
Is Kyrie off limits?
I would think so, yes. I think so. He's closer 1A, and, you know, he doesn't play a whole lot of defense, and he had an up-and-down playoffs, but, I mean, he can win a big game for you. He won a championship for them, and he's 25 years old.
But does Jimmy Butler...
Best below-rim finisher I've ever seen. I've seen him since Earl the Pearl.
Does Jimmy Butler make them a better team to face Golden State than Kevin Love in the lineup?
Yeah, I think so. Because Love, his numbers were good overall, but you know, like in Game 5, there are times where he just doesn't come up that big in big games. But you know, he was an all-star this year, and he had a good season. He just, you know, like some other guys, he didn't play as well as he hoped he would in the finals. That's a tough matchup for anybody, Golden State, though, especially now that they've got Durant. You know, I mean, that's just ridiculous, but he had the right to do it.
Do you think that LeBron could have saved David Griffin's job?
Well, if he would have, I think if he could have, I think he would have.
But why would...
I know he had a lot of respect for Griffin. He's sent out a tweet to that effect. And I know he appreciated the things he did, given that his hands were tied by the economic situation so much.
Yeah, but why would Gilbert do this if he knows it's going to upset LeBron James? And that Griffin had done a good job and...
Well, maybe Griffin, you know, I think he was effectively fired. I think, you know, if they had divergent views on the franchise, Gilbert should have just said, well, we'll give it another run with you because we've been in the finals for 3 straight years. And he didn't want to do that. So I think that is effectively firing him. I don't know. Why did Gilbert send out the letter that he sent out? You know, why did he make ridiculous pie-in-the-sky promises? Because he's Dan Gilbert.
Does he talk to the local media?
No. Certainly not to me.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, just to be honest about it.
No, that's probably a good thing that he doesn't talk to you. That means he probably...
Yeah. You know, better to be respected than loved.
That's true. That's true. Thank you, Bill. Keep fighting the good fight there.
All right, Dan. Thank you.
All right, Bill Livingston, Cleveland Plain Dealer. How did it get screwed up like? How do you just went to the finals again? You won a title last year, and here you are. Golden State has gotten into everybody's heads. They're all going, they're whack jobs now.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.